Good morning everybody, Lisa here with you today. I hope that you are all well. Today we're going to be creating a card using the new You Inspire Me stencils. Now the stamp set I'm showing you at the moment came out previously. It has Coordinating Paradise, but the stencils there on the left are part of the new Meraki Shimmer release, and it's those that I'm going to be focusing on for my card today and using them in conjunction with that previously released set. Okay, so we're going to start with our stenciling. I'm just taking them out of the packaging here. There are 5 stencils in total. They are numbered and they also have grid lines on, which makes lining up your cardstock really easy. I'm actually going to use mine in the MISTI, and I've got a sort of 6x8 almost piece of cardstock that I'm going to work on. So I think that you would use all 5 of the stencils in most circumstances. You've got 3 for the flowers and 2 for the leaves, and I will use all 5 on the card today. So I'm just going in here with my lightest pink. This is Ballet Slipper from PinkFresh Studio. It's a really beautiful soft pink. I do give it a couple of layers though, just to make sure that I'm happy with the coverage. And I'm now going to place down the second stencil and go in with my medium colour. This is Sparkling Rose from PinkFresh Studio, and again I do go over it a couple of times just to make sure I get the depth that I want. Now I'm going to go in with stencil number 5. This is the final layer for the flowers, so I go out of order in the stencils. It didn't seem to make any difference to the end result. That final colour was Bubblegum, really pretty deep pink, and now I'm going to start on the leaves. Starting with my lightest colour here, which is Fresh Pear, really gorgeous soft pink. And as you can see, I've sped this up quite a lot. The stenciling doesn't take long at all. It's really easy, just popping the stencils into the corner of the MISTI, and that lines up perfectly each time. So my middle colour here is the Grassy Knoll colour. So I'm just adding that all over the leaves to get that definition on the second layer. And then finally, I do use a little bit of the darkest green that I've got there to the side, which is Key Lime. And I'm just adding that around the edges or the bits of the leaves which are nearer the flowers, just to give a little bit more definition. My brush was quite large, so it was hard to be really specific, but the effect still was there, and I'm just going to go over some tiny bits again just to make sure that I'm happy with the darkness of those particular areas. And we're now going to cut them out with the Coordinating Paradise from the stamp set. So just lining the dies up here so I can tape them down before running them through my machine. And I guess you could call this no line stenciling. I could have used the outline image stamp from the stamp set to give those flowers more definition, but I wanted to leave them light and airy. For my background today, I'm using the Craft Around Paradise. This is a cover plate die, and I'm actually running that through my machine with some ivory cardstock. So it's going to be different to my base, but it's very subtle. It's a really pretty combination to have the white and the ivory together. So I thought I would do that for a bit of a change day. I would normally put a white layer on, but I thought I would see how ivory looked. So I'm just adding my glue around the outside, and I do dot it all over the back of the die cut as well before I adhere that down. You don't have to really, you could just dot it in a few places and it would be perfectly fine, but I went the whole way and dotted every single bit. So I'm just placing that down now, and I'm going to leave that to dry. Okay, so here is the card that I designed for the release itself about a week ago, and I am going to recreate it to a point. I'm going to change it up a little bit. I do love that card. It has lots of layers and interest and different textures, but I thought I would change the design a little bit for today's card. And I kid you not, I played around with the design for ages. I was going to leave the footage in so you could see how it goes sometimes when you're trying to make a card and you just can't decide on your final placement of images. But I did get there in the end. At one point I had the hugs in the middle of the card, at the top of the card I had the card in a landscape format, but eventually I settled on putting the hugs towards the bottom. So here I'm just working out exactly where I want that smaller flower to go before I adhere that down, and I have put some foam tape onto the back of the hugs word die. The hugs word itself has been cut from gold glitter cardstock. The outline for that is just plain white, and it's all been mounted onto some vellum, and I have put some foam tape on the back of that so that there's lots of dimension behind that word die. So I'm just removing the tape now from the top floral spray before I press that down, and I'm going to trim off the edges from the side. I really love the look of flowers overhanging a card base, but I think in this instance it would have meant me reducing my main base card too much, and that would have interfered with the look of the cover plate dies. So in the end I just decided I would trim them off. So I'm now going to place the word die down. I've just put lots of little pieces of foam tape on the back of that, and I'm going to adhere that down. So this card has got lots of different layers, it's got dimension, and it's got different textures too. So quite a different card for me, not massively unusual, but I'm normally quite clean and simple. So this is quite a busy card for me. I'm now going to work on my sub-sentiment. This is a sentiment from Special Delivery, and I've put some foam tape on the back. It's going to straddle the G of the hugs, so I need to prop up those sides either side of the G, and I also need to add a tiny little bit of extra cardstock just to make sure that that sits completely flat when I add it onto the card. Apologies for being a little bit off camera there. I was just making sure that the tiny bits of cardstock weren't going to stick out from behind these sentiments. So I'm just placing that down now. And to finish the card off, I'm going to add some extra bling because the gold glitter cardstock and the gold embossing weren't enough. So I'm going to add on some Enchanted Forest gems. These are so pretty, lots of different sizes and a beautiful gold. So that brings us to the end of today's card. I hope that you've enjoyed seeing this card come together and that you'll give No Line Stenciling a go. In the meantime, I hope that you have a wonderful week. I'll be back next Friday with another card. Don't forget to give this a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you soon.